Welcome to Filling You In, a dental podcast with A Squared, where dentist entrepreneurs and spouses, Dr. Anushka Gaglani and Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj, welcome industry experts and innovators to explore trends in business practices, patient care, career development, and what it takes to be successful in dentistry.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Filling You In. I'm Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj.
And I'm Dr. Anushka Gaglani, collectively known as A Squared. Our guest on this episode knows how to put a smile on people's faces, and not just because he's a skilled dentist. Dr. Eric Roman also believes part of his job is to infuse love into group dentistry and give dental associates the playbook for performance and joy. That's right up our alley at Areo Dental, where we strive to help our employees uncover their inner greatness and achieve a healthy work-life balance.
Dr. Roman, additionally, has over a decade of experience running high-powered, multi-location dental companies. His breadth of expertise covers topics such as executive team development, culture development, managing millennial and post-millennial workers, personal performance habits, and much more. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Roman.
Guys, thank you. That was the single best intro I have ever had in my entire life. And I've had wonderful intros before, but this, the A Squared intro, is now the standard by which all others are measured. Thank you.
It's copyrighted, so.
Yeah, good.
Right.
I love it.
That's right.
So awesome. We'd like to start with learning more about your background and what first got you interested in dentistry.
Ooh, dentistry in general. There's the answer that we told everybody when we were younger. Well, I want to go into dentistry because I want to help people and all the other stuff. I'm gonna honor the truth as I now see it, right? I had my dentist when I was growing up. He always told me, I said I wanted to be a doctor, like a real physician. I had an uncle who was a dermatologist. I had an uncle who was an ER doctor. So of course I should do dermatology or ER, right? It makes sense. And so I told my dentist that. My dentist was like, I think you need to be a dentist. I'm like, I don't want to be a dentist. He's like, hey, I have the best life. My life is so much better than all the other physicians. I'm like, yeah, nah. And so that was kind of my path for a bit. And then when I was in high school, I remember they're like, hey, you need to have your wisdom teeth out. I'm like, that sounds dumb. I don't need to have my wisdom teeth out. Like, why would I subject, like, I have no issues here. Like, no, you really need to do it. And so I told the oral surgeon, I was like, my dentist keeps telling me I should be a dentist. I think I'm going to be a physician. He's like, well, I'm a dentist and I'm a physician. It's like, let's see how it goes. So afterwards at my post-op, I was like, the experience was actually pretty cool. And he said, well, why don't you come work for me this summer? And I was thinking, well, okay, I could use some money. And so I was scrubbing into surgeries, working for an oral surgeon for, about 3 or 4 months. And from that point forward, I was going to be a dentist. Now, what type of dentist? Who knows? But but what was the real motivation behind all of it? It was that they enjoyed their lives. Like they chose to be dentists because they wanted to enjoy their life and also do things that benefited others, have skills that benefited others. And the way that I kind of saw it, I had this knack or this inkling attraction to business. Mm-hmm. And I had done enough research to realize that dentistry was like the fast path to owning your own business, owning $1 million business, fast path to owning a business, but if the crap hits the fan, you've got a skill people need, right? Like I always tell people, like, zombie apocalypse, you want me. I've got skills, I got surgical skills. I got I got this. So skill, guaranteed income, and then all the business opportunity I could ever want. That's why I went into dentistry.
So smart. Wow.
That's powerful. When you've lived, obviously fast forward to today, right? Dr. Roman, you're the type of guy when we think about you, you've lived a really full life. And you're the guy who aspires to empower dentists, not just dentists, others to live abundant, impactful lives and infuse that love into group dentistry. I've heard about that a little bit. Can you touch on that and tell us what drives that?
What's funny is you asked me this question right after the first one. And so what's really interesting is you didn't hear in that first response of me wanting to be a dentist any of that I cared about love in general. that I had any desire to like teach other people or anything like that. None of that was there. And that was all latent discovery inside the journey. And so phase 1 is I want to be a dentist. Phase 1.5 is I want to kick butt at dentistry and do a great job. And I mean, realistically, build a company that makes a lot of money and has a lot of, quote, impact. But somewhere inside the journey, like the self-reflection, we start asking ourselves the question of what is my greatest impact? Like, what is the thing that when I do it is outlier in skill? And, you know, I mean, I ran group practices, and so I had a lot of employees. I had leadership teams. And inside the process, as there was like this self-awareness of asking the question, okay, guys, what is the thing that I do that is of the most value to all of you that nobody else can do? And they're like, oh, that's easy. Like you like inspire us. I'm like, how is that worth anything? Like, you don't like my spreadsheets? They're like, no, your spreadsheets are fine, but other people could do that. Like, you don't like the systems I built? They're like, yeah, your systems are really good, but like other people could build that too. We could go buy it. But they're like, the thing that you can do that nobody else can do is like energize us and give us hope and like actually have us enjoy what we're doing. I'm thinking, well, that sounds really not valuable. But then their point is like, actually, it's immensely valuable. It's the thing that most people are missing that nobody else can do. And so in that moment, what happened is that my impact, my quantification of my impact shifted. And it didn't happen all at once because I didn't believe them. But I used to think my impact was in production, right? That was my first impact. My impact was in the size of my company. That was all my fault, even though it wasn't. All these other things. And what I learned was that my true impact was in the way that I can affect other people. And so I had to have this, was this really true? And I tested it a little bit, and no, the feedback came back, you know, Eric, you have a knack for the way you present things, the way you like talk about crap. People just feel it and they appreciate it and they're better for it. And so once you let the cat out of the bag, you got to honor it. And so that was kind of the point when I made the shift from being a DSO CEO to saying, you know, I really need to leverage what's unique about me. Like we talk, you know, you're big Dan Sullivan fans, unique ability. Like I have to leverage this as I go into my future now. And so I don't know if I answered the question well, but that was a major shift for me. And I guess, okay, I'll bring it back to love for a moment. You know, the interesting thing inside the journey, I remember one of the first big barriers that I ran into was that managing people. And I had these aspirations for growing this big company, but people tended to be the barrier in that, like managing people, me not so good at. And my first response was, well, that's why I pay a manager. And I didn't think that management was a part of my responsibility. And only in time and continual failure did I realize if I want to have a company that's successfully delivering impact to our patients and to our team, right? If I want 300 people inside of a company experiencing that, I'm going to have to figure this crap out. And so the thing I didn't want to do was people. The thing that I realized was every executive leader's job is people. And so in the journey of having to get good at something I wasn't naturally good at, I realized that this piece that was just missing is that dentistry makes us heartless, guys. It takes away, we went into it aspirationally wanting to do so much good, but then we get really sort of disenfranchised and like, will you just shut up? I don't want to hear you talk about your toothache ever again. And that carries over into our teams. We have like a loveless environment. And, you know, I think that call me a hippie, but like love is one of the greatest things that we have access to as humans. That love isn't just something that should be behind closed doors. It's what's missing in our political realm. It's what's missing in our schools. It's what's missing everywhere. And so that's kind of how it all came together. I realized that the way that I was going to have relationships with people was love focused. And so I'm a love machine now, and like multiply it by all the other stuff.
That is a lovely answer.
It's very deep. Very
On
deep.
point.
Yes.
So you founded or co-founded 4 companies in the last decade or so.
I think
Where
it's
does your
actually more than
entrepreneur
that. I'm
more
really
than that?
sorry. Yeah, it's more than
Oh,
that, but we're probably not counting all the ones that have completely failed, but continue the question.
where does your entrepreneurial drive come from, and what are some key lessons that you learned along the way about entrepreneurship?
Oh, so good. I've been bathing in some lessons this past 6 months. Drive. The drive comes from I have a vision for a better future.
Mm.
Like when you tell me that the way the traffic was when I was coming back from the mountain today, when you're telling me that's as good as things can be, I don't believe you. I'm always thinking about solutions. What's better? What's another way that this can be more effective? I have my entire life, my parents always joked, they're like, you've got such an they called it imagination when you're a kid. They call it like entrepreneurial delusion when you get older, right? And I just always see a better future. And so the energy comes from wanting to make that future a reality. That's
Yeah.
that's my entrepreneurial drive. The hardest thing for me is turning that son of a gun off. It's like I see things in other people's industries, and I'm like, hey, can I like step in here and run your chiropractic practice for a minute? Because like I will drive your operations through the roof. And I need to just stay in my freaking lane. So that's where the drive comes from. What was the second question? It was a really good one.
Some key lessons you've learned along the way about entrepreneurship.
Oh gosh. Well, the first thing is that our ability to do stuff is finite. That's the first thing. Just recognizing that sometimes like I feel an infinite amount of energy for stuff. And second lesson that I've learned is that um, while it is really fulfilling what I do entrepreneurially, it's not my identity. My identity is who I choose to be as a father and as a husband and as a friend and the life that I live. I became a dentist because I had an expectation for a life. And and many of us give that up and we let other things take control of our lives and we miss out on what we really wanted. And so my second lesson inside of it was that, I have to remain true to my identity. And that also puts limitations on how many things that I can do. I take every Wednesday to go ski with my family. And sometimes, weekend afternoons, that cuts into my productivity. I'm sorry, you don't want me on your team if it bothers you. And so, that's just an awareness that like I have to have first things first, the right priorities inside my life. A third lesson that I've learned entrepreneurially is just because it's a magnificent idea doesn't mean it's a business.
Mhm.
And I've learned this one very recently in some of the things that I've done, some of the ventures that I've had. Um, they're wonderful ideas and everybody gets it and everybody wants it. The
Yeah.
problem is the type of business that it would create, people paying $99 a month for something isn't super satisfying to me when I'm accustomed to like much bigger paydays, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So it might be an okay business. It's just not for me. It's a great idea. I just don't want to fulfill it.
Mm.
And so like being really intentional
Mhm.
now about, okay, is this really, everybody always says, just find a problem and solve it. No, 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 no. Find a problem that people are willing to give you the amount of money you need them to give you to solve it.
Mhm.
Then,
Mhm.
then invest, right? Then go in if you actually like it, right? Maybe a fourth lesson is that just because something's successful doesn't mean I like it. You mentioned like I think the number is actually 8 businesses in
Oh.
5 years since I exited my last DSO, and many of them were perfectly sustainable incomes of probably $500,000 a year or more. I just didn't want to be the one to do it,
Mm.
and so an entrepreneurial lesson is that like just because it's a successful business doesn't mean that I get joy from doing it, and I have really high standards. I have to enjoy what I'm doing. Um, Last lesson, and maybe it's kind of like a full circle sort of thing. When I had 300 employees and it felt like something was always on fire, and I was doing my best, the next thing that I wanted to do was be a solopreneur and have nobody that I had to answer to and nobody I had to deal with. And what I discovered really quickly is that I wasn't created for that. like God created me to have impact on people and to like serve others and to be in community and have people to laugh with. It was no fun at all being a solopreneur. It was like 4 months. I was ready to jump out a window. Yet, last lesson, we're just always, as entrepreneurs, we're always envious of other people's business. OPB, other people's business. We're always down with OPB. And we're like, it's so funny. I was in a mastermind group just last month with a bunch of like ridiculously accomplished men. And we came to the awareness that every man in the room wanted to be another one of the guys.
Wow.
It's like, and they all didn't want to be the same one. Well, I want to be that guy. Well, that guy wants to be you. I'm like, what the crap? What's wrong with us? And so this like delusion of always, I experienced this operating dental practices. Like my practice was very niched and I wanted everybody else's practice, but my own, and so the grass was always greener on the other side of the fence, as an entrepreneur and as a person. So man, chew on all those lessons. Like how we could do 4 hours just on lessons Eric Roman's learned.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some gold right there.
100%. These are going in our books. And speaking of you living a fulfilling life, I completely agree. And we can actually vouch for the fact that you are not meant to be a solopreneur. Anushka and I came and learned a whole lot of stuff about scaling associates, reviewing them consistently. And like we can vouch for you creating that impact. You've impacted us, so we know that for a fact. I want to talk about, speaking of fulfillment, I want to talk a little bit about 1LifeSystem. Let's talk about that. Yeah. I know you meant to do this company as being impactful towards dentists, executives, managers to get more out of their personal and family lives. Yeah. How did that come about? And what are you hoping to accomplish with that?
You know what? Like, listen, we know what we're dealing with. Our people aren't getting what they want out of their lives. Nobody has enough employees right now. Right? And we're all still blaming COVID, but COVID's not the reason we don't have enough employees anymore. It's because people recognize that working in dentistry can really suck. The standards for what employment's like, the amount of pressure, having patients yell at you every day and tell you're a horrible person and that you should die, we all know it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And our teams figured out that while they once thought it was attractive, they now have a choice and they can work somewhere else. They can flip burgers and maybe be more fulfilled, So I saw it everywhere I went. I saw it in the entrepreneurs that I've coached. I've coached over 100 dental executives and outside of dentistry entrepreneurs, and everybody has the same problems. Money doesn't solve our problems. The more money somebody has, actually, I think I've discovered that the more likely they are to have significant life deficiencies, right? So the people with tons of money aren't getting what they want. The people that work for the people with tons of money aren't getting what they want. And yet they're actually aspiring to be the people with tons of money. You want to talk about a screwed up system? It's that, right? And it's not just us. It's not just dentistry, it's everywhere. And so and what's the thing that everybody in the DSO space talks about every single day? Oh, gotta have a great culture, gotta have a great culture, gotta have a great culture. But what the hell is a great culture? And how do I actually have one, right? And the definitions for a great culture didn't fly with me. They just didn't fit. I just kind of broke it down and I said, do you know what I want? I want my people to get what they want out of their life and enjoy it. And I want them to work with us because working with us can help them get what they want out of life. I want them to have great relationships with their parents, their partners, their kids. I want them to be doing things that they enjoy, to feel fulfilled, to have a sense of purpose that's not tied up in your freaking work like ours is. I want them to have a measure of enough financially. I want them to have a path for managing their debt, for getting to where they want to go. That's what culture should really look like. That's where it should start. And I recognize that there was no recipe, but I had one. And it's something that I've been doing in my life, that when my life, hit the dumpster, I recognized I needed a system. right? We've all heard, like, just read great quotes about systems. Systems are how we get results, right? We go to events to get energized, like, hey, I was at Tony Robbins this weekend, like everybody was doing cocaine and so excited, like here we are. And then you go back, and what changes does that elicit? So much excitement, but it's gone in 48 hours. Systems, things that continue and are reproducible, get results. And so, like, the irony is, how did I get results in my business? Systems. EOS, other systems I've built, I recognized. And how did I create great space and relationships with my teams? I did it with systems. But then I'd go home at the end of the day to no systems to, like, make sure that I'm showing up as the dad I want to be, or the husband I want to be, or any of that stuff. And so it was like an epiphany. It was like, bro, go build a system for our lives. And truth, like, it's one of the things I tried to sell to outside entrepreneurs for like a year and a half. And I realized that it belongs with the people I love most and that have meant the most to me here inside the dental industry. It was fun working with other entrepreneurs, but it was really interesting. You know, I'd have events where I'd have like 20% are my people that I know from the dental industry, 80% are like, you know, people from other industries. I just wanted to hang out with my 20%. And so actually just a couple of months ago, we made the decision, 1LifeSystem belongs in this space. Other people can figure their crap out, but this is for dentistry. So this is like, from here on out, it's going to be the way, hey, if you're running your company and you're not sure why anymore and you're lost, you need us. If your team isn't getting what they want out of the journey and you want one way to invest in them, you need us. And so that's kind of the story. What do you think? How'd that story land?
That was
Love
very,
it.
very good. I love, again, going back to the impact, right? That's what we were talking about. I think it's interesting when you talk about culture. I think a lot of companies have been used to thinking people are robots, but it's so true. You know, back when you were talking about fires every single day, it's like they're people. Things happen in their lives, and we have to address those things. We can't just put them in a silo and say nothing comes to work.
And
So
they
totally
and that
agree.
comes to their professional life, and what happens there goes home. So you're absolutely right. One quote that came to mind as you were talking about systems was something that James Clear said in Atomic Habits. You don't rise up to the level of your goals, you fall down to the level of your systems. Even though I'm not a systems guy, I've recognized that over the years and actually strived really hard. Anushka is more systems than I am, but that's why we're complementary. But I've recognized to have systems around our life, whether it's like, hey, this is like we're going on a date night, or we're doing something that's impactful outside of work that's actually helped in our personal lives too. So I love that you're doing this. This is great. I know
Yes.
Anushka is itching to ask you the next question.
So one of the things is you mentioned that you give dental associates the playbook for performance and joy. Can you break that down a bit for us? What's on page 1 of that playbook?
You know, maybe it's in the preface to the playbook.
Okay.
You know, so as I've kind of been working my way back into the industry, I asked the question again. I asked all my CEO friends, what is the thing that, like, when you think of Eric Roman, you think, oh my gosh, if he could solve this one thing for me, because he's the only person that could, I would just like, I'd hand him money until I died. And one of the things that kept coming up over and over again was my associates, but it was always prefaced by like like profanity, my bleeping associates, or this bleeping associate, or whatever it was, because there's frustration there. And so I dug down into it. And listen, we all know the associate data, right? What's the like longevity of like a single associate working? What is it like? It's like between 12 and 14 months. So every 12 to 14 months, the associate's looking for another job.
Yes.
That's not their plan. They're disappointed. They're not getting what they want. I started interviewing associates, Anusha. I started reaching out to my friends and saying, hey, you want some support? Can I just have some one-on-one chats with your associates quietly between me and them? You're like, oh, absolutely. And the things that I heard just blew my mind. Associates saying, like, I asked a question like, hey, are you happy? And they're like, oh gosh, no. Like, what causes you to lose sleep at night? I'm losing sleep over the fact that every day that I'm here, I'm thinking I might be missing out on being somewhere else. I was like, hey, but how in control of your own productivity are you? The average on a scale of 1 to 10 10 being I'm in control, 1 being I have 0 control, was about a 4. If you wanted to produce more tomorrow than you did today, what would you do? Most common answer, I have no idea. And yet, when I asked them why this is the way it is, they blamed you. They blamed the practice owners. They blamed me, the practice owner. And so that being the preface, Anushka, what I realize is that the state of affairs is broken. More than 50% of the dentists in our country right now are associates. And if this is the pervasive sentiment, we're screwed as an industry. We've got to do something. And and here's the other thing. Oh, it's like all coming together. I built training programs for culture for teams. What was the single biggest implementation barrier to these culture programs? The teams came and said, we need you so bad. Our culture is so horrible. Great, come on through the program. We couldn't implement it because of our doctor. The doctors were always the barrier. And for better or worse, dentists have authority and power inside of this industry. And so I realized that the one space with no innovation, with no care, with no, tell me who out there is doing anything where you can go buy off-the-shelf support for your relationship between you and your associate. Nobody. And what I realized also is that if everybody's raising their hand and saying, yes, I have a problem, what most of us don't have is time to fix something. Because I know you guys, you got 99 problems every single day. You put out a fire, one more pops up. It's just life. That's and you're better at it than 99% of the earth. And it's just the way it works. And so what I said is, I said, well, what's the thing that I could do that would provide the highest value quickest for people? And that was giving associates the playbook for how to be successful. It's a 6-week program where we give them an accountability coach and a content pathway and some support. And what I'll tell you the first step is, you said, what's the first piece of the playbook? It's that their hope for a better future changes. That's the very first thing. Because what I will tell you is practically every associate that's in there is hungry or broken down, and they just have no idea what to do next. And the first step is that I give them some hope that it's going to be great. And so giving dentists hope, and then just giving them, it's 50 habits, actions. It's not do more crown. It's none of that. There's practically no clinical in there. It simply is about how to be more effective as a dentist. Simple stuff that gets results. We've seen some people in 6 weeks, $300 an hour of production improvement.
Yeah.
Nice.
Come on. I didn't even expect that. I was dang, I'll take it. So I guess the long story short is that I recognize that for all the great practices that are out there, our dentists need a playbook to draw from. No dentist can apply everything that's in there. Nobody does. You do 1, 2, or 3 things, your life will change forever. You will earn millions of dollars more over your career from applying 1, 2, or 3 things. And so, you know what it really is, what it comes down to is it's a system, right? What I'm giving them first is I'm giving them the tools. Then I'm showing them how to execute on using the tools quarter after quarter after quarter. My hope is that people just pay me forever. That would be great. But back to the whole thing, what did I learn in building systems create love and systems get results. That's my lesson. So how did I apply it to lives? How did I apply it to practices? Now, how do I apply it to associates? It's pretty cool.
Dr. Eric, follow-up question, how much of your time are you spending coaching these dentists? And are you seeing do these associate dentists need to see tangible data so they can see their progress? What are your thoughts on that?
First, one of the things that I've found, I haven't come across an associate yet that's really using their data. I'm just telling you guys, and a lot of the associates I come from practices I've trained that have got KPIs up the wazoo, and they come in and I'm like, how effectively are you using the scorecard? And they're like, I'm not. One of the things that I've discovered in my systems life is that a lot of us have scorecards, but not many of us know how to change the numbers.
Right.
That to me is the definition of a playbook.
Yeah.
So when you give somebody a scorecard and you say, hit this number, they're like, great. But do they actually know what step 1, 2, 3, and 4 are to change the number when they don't like it? That's my playbook. That's what I believe there. So that would be like answering the second question. I've completely forgot the first part of that question.
I was asking you how much of your own time are you spending doing this?
Right now, I spend a pretty good amount of my time. Now, I am a systems guy. You get this. And so everything, like the solutions are very systematically delivered. But it's fun for me right now. I actually had to swallow a pill. And the pill was about like reframing my identity, that I've been called into this. I have a gift. Do you know what? So many of the companies, I primarily reach out to the company that employs the associate. That's who my customer is. Then I like convince the associate that this is what you want. But so many of the companies right away are like, I don't know what the heck you're doing, but their behavior is different in like 1 week. And I don't know what's going on. Just keep doing it. And that to me, like, is like a fulfillment of me letting go. Who is my audience? Who are the people that I wanted to serve? Like, I'm really just taking joy in this. I really feel like this is almost like a little bit of a passion project for the future of the industry, because if we continue the path we're on, like I said, we're screwed. Dentistry is screwed. Our patients already trust us less than they ever have in history. Any reason why? Yeah, it's this. It's because every time they come in, they see a different dentist, because every year you turn over a dentist, right? Like, I did it. I get it. So I'm spending right now, I would say that 100% of my time is working directly with associates or working with the clinical directors that care for them. It's like two different audiences. First, I'm going to get you some money coming in through these people being happier and producing more. And then I'm going to help you build out the architecture and the systems so that you can be the one taking good care of them into the future, So right
Love
now,
it.
that's all I do. It's kind of fun.
Love
Yeah.
Sounds
I've
like a
I've
very impressive
focused.
program. Yeah, definitely. We need to catch up on this a little bit more for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I was giving the shifty eye for those of you that are only on audio.
oh man, this is really great.
Good
So
stuff.
one of the things we do is a lightning round. So we're gonna shoot a couple questions at you. First thing that pops in your head. Number 1, what was your last impulse buy?
I just bought new skis.
Oh, that's not. I would not.
I did
expect
not
that from
need
you.
new skis. I was online and I bought them. Don't know why. Still don't know, but they'll be here tomorrow.
What are the least likely 3 words? If you could pick 3 words, the least likely words that someone would use to describe you.
Has no energy.
I would definitely agree with that.
Definitely agree. I would not use that to describe you. Yes.
Okay, so those were the 3. It's not a
Has
hyphenated.
no energy. Yeah, that was it.
Gotcha.
Did you
Okay.
see how I got 3 words in there?
That was yep.
Yeah.
It's very clever.
Work smart, not hard. Yes.
Yeah.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
I am an electronic dance music fanatic. And last night, I had the great joy. I was a part of the Avicii generation. When I was a part of Avicii's whole story, from the moment he rose to fame, from bromance, from all this stuff, all the way through the end. And so, Aloe Black, Avicii, Wake Me Up. That would be my go. I can't hit any of the notes, but I don't care. It is coming out of my body like fire. Yeah. As a matter of fact, when we get done, I am going to turn it on full volume and I'm going to blast that mother.
We're going to karaoke one day.
Yes,
Done.
with you.
I am
Yes.
so ready. Chicago
That was
karaoke.
awesome.
Let's go.
Yes, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Eric.
Oh,
for
did I
being
win
with us.
lightning round?
You
You
know what?
did.
If there were a prize, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today. It was truly a pleasure.
I am so grateful to be here with you guys today, and I can't wait to do it again. Bye-bye.
I'm Dr. Anushka Gaglani.
I'm Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj. Thanks for checking out today's show and hope you can join us again next time.
Thanks for watching this episode of Filling You In, where we uncover the insights, trends, and stories shaping the dental industry. If you like this podcast, please share it on your social channels and visit Areo Dental Group on LinkedIn or on Instagram at Areo Dental Group. You can also subscribe to the series and check out all of our episodes on this YouTube channel or at areodental.com/podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and let's keep elevating the dental field together.